I have made quite a lot of very expensive additions and changes to my everyday carry bag, and I wanted to go through it and show you guys everything that's in it. There's so many changes that I actually had to upgrade to a larger bag, so now I'm rocking this Highland Tactical duffel bag style bag here. So on this channel, I talk a lot about electric vehicles themselves and the adventures that I take them on as part of the EV adventure lifestyle. But in my opinion, the EV adventure lifestyle expands to more than just that, like everyday carry and the things that a tech enthusiast carries with them on a daily basis. Because this EDC bag comes with me on all of my Model 3 adventures and road trips. We're going to do a complete bag dump of everything I have in here, including a lot of really cool tech now that I've got everything in here and it's all upgraded to where I want it to be. So we'll start off with everything that's on the exterior and work our way into the main compartment. There's two end caps we have to go through and a exterior zippered section here, as well as the pouches that I have on the outside. I guess we'll start with this one mollied on the side here. This one's just my hygiene pouch. It's got a face cloth, my antiperspirant, bar soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, dental floss, and I think I have some shampoo in there as well. Recently I just went on that 2-week trip to Halifax, and this had everything I needed to keep myself clean and hygienic while I was staying at the Airbnbs. Oh. On the end cap here, we've got my first aid kit. It's just a basic little ouch pouch. It's got band-aids in there, some nitrile gloves. It's got some ibuprofen, some hand sanitizer, digestive medicine. As someone who suffers from IBS, I basically keep this thing perma-stocked with Imodium. On the other end cap here, we've got my drink holster, so any bottles of like Gatorade or whatever the heck I want, I can put in there and go hands-free while I'm carrying this around. And now we go to a flashlight that I have had basically since the very beginning of this channel. One of the very first videos I did was a review on this flashlight, and it's still kicking. So bonus points to you if you recognize this. But this is my Fenix LD41. I got 4 rechargeable AA batteries in there, and I have a way to recharge them. I'll show you that in a bit once I get deeper into the pack. And this thing is basically the tactical Nokia of flashlights. This thing is like solid metal. I have dropped this thing from almost 2 stories in the air onto a concrete floor, and other than a few chips, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So obviously not the most optimal for weight and space, but since I don't really care too much about weight anymore, since my pack is a lot heavier anyways, and my other flashlight that I had for EDC broke, I reverted back to the good old LD41, which has been rock solid, both literally and metaphorically, since I bought this thing almost 10 years ago now. I've had this thing for like 10 years. And it just sits in the front here in I think that's actually supposed to be a pouch for like a police baton, but it just fits the flashlight perfectly. So now we'll start going through the end caps. So we got the first end cap here. This is where I keep all of my tools and things that I need to be easily accessible. So I've got some napkins, which is mostly just toilet paper in there for obvious reasons. I don't think I need to explain what toilet paper is in there for. Little emergency rain poncho, since normally I'm with my car and I don't catch myself out in the rain separated from my car too frequently, but it's always good to have in there just in case. It's super lightweight, doesn't take up much space. Got a little baggie of some cordage just in case I need some to secure something. 2 lighters, a Cliff Bar, a pocket knife, which this one is special to me. This one was actually given to me by my dad many years ago, and this is actually a really decent high quality folding knife. It's the only good quality folding knife I have. All the other ones I have are like garbage, like Walmart tier ones, but this one is rock solid. I don't know the brand because obviously he gave it to me when I was young. I've got a measuring tape, which the retraction in it has failed, so it's, it's a little limp. I think I need some Viagra. Got a little V knife sharpener. Won't get it as sharp as using an actual sharpening stone, but if I need to sharpen on the go, it'll get the job done, and it's super easy and simple to use. And I have just a little compass in case, for whatever reason, I can't use my phone's GPS to navigate. Don't worry, guys, I'm saving the best for later on. We're just whetting the appetite with that end cap. Oh. So once we rotate around to this end cap is where the fun starts. So first, we've got this pouch in there, and all this pouch is, everything that's in here, is basically a rat's nest of USB cords for every electronic device that I have in this pack. You can see there's all kinds of random crap in there. There's USB-C to USB-C, USB-A to USB-C. There's even a USB-C to USB-B in here. It's a little obscene. And I actually cut down on the amount of cords I had in here. This right here is a USB charger for individual AA batteries. So remember I showed you the 4 rechargeable batteries I have in my flashlight? It's a little bit annoying to have to charge them one by one, but I've got this in here to recharge my flashlight batteries on the go if I need to. I've got a 12-volt barrel plug adapter to USB. I've got apparently only a single AC to USB adapter in there. There's actually supposed to be 2. I don't know where the second one is. We've got a little fold-out 3D printed stand for my phone. This way, if I want to keep my phone on my desk while I'm working on any of the other devices I have in here, I don't have to lie it flat. I can actually stand it upright. And it's actually 3D printed in a blue glow-in-the-dark material. And it folds up, so it's nice and unobtrusive in the pack once it's in there. I've got a plug-in block that splits one AC outlet into 3 AC outlets, as well as 3 USB ports, 2 USB-A and 1 USB-C. And I got this specific one because the way that the AC outlets are oriented, they're all on separate sides of this brick, which means that if you have something that's a little bit bigger of a block, like say this, you're not fighting to try and plug other stuff in beside it when this thing takes up way too much space on its own. So that way you can plug in something here, and they're all not fighting for space on the block. With the 3 USB slots, I can have a total of 6 things plugged into this if I need to off a single wall outlet. And this, look at this takes up like no space and weighs like nothing. I've got my gaming mouse, and this should start to give you an idea of what's in here. Now, some of you guys who have watched some of my more recent videos may know of one thing that I might have in here, but there's something else in here that's a lot better and a lot more powerful that I got very recently and allows me to do quite a lot more stuff on the go. And I think you guys will really enjoy it if you're fans of tech. I've got the AC adapter for my Microsoft Surface Go tablet, which I'll show you guys in here in a bit. And the very last thing that's in here is my upgraded power bank. Now, before I had in here just a little 6,000 milliamp hour power bank, so I decided to get something a lot beefier to handle all of the electronic devices so that I don't run out of power on the go. Did I go for a 10,000 milliamp hour or a 15,000 milliamp hour battery bank? Did I go for a 20,000 milliamp hour battery bank? No, I went for a 50,000 milliamp hour battery bank. As well, as you can see on the display there, I can track exact percentage of charge, which makes things even better for understanding just how much power I have left in it. Because when you have the ones that just have like the dots on it, it's really hard to understand exactly how much power you have or don't have in the pack. I really love the exact percentage display on these things. All right, and now before I forget about it, I want to do the last side pouch on this, the one on the long side here. So this is just going to be drawing and writing utensils and stuff like that. Now, I'm not much of an artist, but I do have a drawing tablet, and this thing dates back from my college days. We're talking over 10 years ago now, and this thing still works. I've got the USB cable for it, and I'll explain why I have this in a bit once I get to the very last item in my kit. But it's just a super simple, robust drawing tablet that I can use to draw and do concept art and that sort of thing. And I, of course, have the stylus for it, and just all the drawing and writing utensils. I have a couple pens, a highlighter, and a Sharpie. That's all that's in the side pouch right now. Pretty simple and straightforward. I just wanted somewhere where that tablet could sit that's not getting crushed by everything else that's in there. All right, now we get into the main compartment, which is where all the fun stuff is. So first, I want to talk about this thing. This is what's called a WUSH bag. It's an acronym. It stands for Wake Up, Crap's Happening. You can imagine what the S stands for. So as part of someone who's trying to be ready for emergency situations, this is essentially a bag that sits by your bedside when you're asleep and stays with me when I'm out driving around. This contains everything that I should need if worst came to worst, I had to restart my life from scratch right then and there. So the idea is if I wake up in the middle of the night and I don't have time to grab anything else, just grab my wife and go, I can grab this and literally run out the door. So what does this have in here? So obviously when it's not in my pocket, this is where I put my wallet and my chapstick and a USB-C cord. And I'll explain why I have that USB-C cord there in a second. In the end cap, I've got a strap so I can carry this thing like a purse if I need to. It really does look like a purse if I have to carry it like that, but at the end of the day, I'd rather have what I need than worry about looking dumb. So, in the other end cap is a backup battery bank, and this is the old, really small one I used to everyday carry. That way, if I don't have time to even grab this everyday carry, I still have something that I can keep my phone charged with. And in there, I've also just got the USB cords needed to charge the battery bank and charge my phone from the battery bank. Just some really small ones. Ah, that's where it disappeared to. Okay, so this was the other AC adapter. I forgot that I moved it to the WUSH bag. I only put this thing together recently, so that's why I was confused. So yeah, that's the other AC adapter so that I can charge my phone or the battery bank from a wall outlet. And in the main compartment, that's where I keep basically everything that I would need to restart my life, right? So I'm not going to show you what's actually on here, but this is a copy of my insurance for my cars, my rental agreement, and the insurance policy for my apartment. I've got my keys, which live in there if they're not otherwise in my pocket, little notebook, a small multi-tool, a single pen, my passport, a Cliff Bar. This is a pocket survival tin. Basically, a really, really tiny Altoid style tin that contains what I would need to survive in a really, really terrible situation if I really needed to. So what do I got in here? You can see it taped to the inside of the lid. I've got a few matches and a strike surface for the matches, as well as a couple sewing needles. And then in the main container here, I've got a Ziploc bag for water, a wire saw, some duct tape. I've got a small 3D printed whistle, a small lighter, a button compass, a small flashlight, some water tabs for water purification, a whole bunch of fishing line, some alcohol wipes, and a little bit of fishing tackle buried at the very bottom. And that all gets secured in place with a nice elastic. And then the very last thing that I have in here is a solid state drive. It's only a 1 terabyte. I probably should have got something bigger, but basically I have copies and backups of everything important to me on here and things I would need if I suddenly could not return home and I had to go a long distance away. So for obvious reasons, I'm not going to explain exactly what I have on here, but you could probably get a good idea, right? So digital copies of my insurance documentation, stuff like that. That's the only thing I'll tell you. There's a whole bunch of stuff on here that's very, very important. Highly, highly, highly recommend having something like this. This is what the USB-C cord was for. Okay, so that's the actually important stuff. Now we get into the fun stuff. So this right here, you guys have probably seen this in a couple of my videos. This is my ASUS ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. It's basically a handheld gaming PC. If you're a gamer, you know what this is. If you're not a gamer, this is basically sort of a Nintendo Switch. It's for gaming, obviously, and all it is a handheld PC. And this thing basically just straight up runs Windows 11. All it is a screen with a controller attached to it, strapped to a graphics card. And because it runs Windows 11, you can do whatever you want with this that you would a normal Windows PC. I could program on it if I wanted to. I mean, obviously it's made for gaming, so it's got quite a powerful GPU in there for something handheld. So I could edit videos on this if I really needed to. You get the idea. So it's a really good, very surprisingly multi-purpose device to have in my bag. So also in the bag it comes in, I do have a mouse pad, not just for the ROG Ally. I'll get to why at the end of the video. I've got a cool little 3D printed stand for the ROG Ally, which is really cool. If, like recently, I was on my Halifax trip, I bring this with me. I have a place to set it up and dock when it's not at home and let it charge. Or if I just want to watch something on it or play a game hands-free rather than actually using the built-in controller, I have a little dock for it that just folds up into basically nothing. And this is also 3D printed, and this is also glow-in-the-dark. I've got a small Bluetooth folding keyboard for it. I've got a dedicated mouse for it. And then in the front section for it, I've got the charging brick that it came with. I've got some earbuds for it so that I can use it without having to bother anybody around me. And I've got a screen cleaner. And I've got a stylus for it so that I don't smudge up the screen with my fingers, especially if I'm out camping or something and I'm getting dirty. This saves the screen from getting pretty gnarly because the ROG actually is a touchscreen. So, and it comes in its own dedicated bag that I bought for it. And we might as well stay on the topic of gaming. So also in here, I have this, which I haven't really shown off too much, but this is something else that's really cool. If you're into handhelds, you probably know what this is, but this is the Anbernic ROG 35XXH. Yes, really confusing and annoying name. And basically what it is a handheld game emulation device. And this thing can do all the way up to PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64, maybe a bit of PSP. And it's actually a pretty neat little system. It's got 2 thumbsticks, it's got a D-pad, the 4 buttons on basically any standard controller, and it's also got the 2 shoulder buttons on each side. It's actually a really interesting device. And yeah, links to this and everything else in my kit that I can find online, I'll link in the description if you're interested. And for this, I've also got a little 3D printed stand for it, which is also in that same blue glow-in-the-dark material. And of course, the USB-C cord for charging it. I've got a bandana in here. It has a bunch of animal tracks on it for identifying different animal tracks in North America. That can be useful if I find myself in a really crummy survival situation that I was stupid enough to get myself into. But mostly I just have this in here for a napkin and as a emergency towel if the need arises for one. Got an extra pair of socks. Got a cloth bag as a carry bag if I go into a store and buy something and I need something to carry it around with. This thing is really starting to show its age. This thing is over 10 years old and it's starting to get some holes in it. This thing was in the wash recently, and this is it after going through the wash. It's starting to get quite stained. So I know I talked about having that massive battery bank and never running out of power, but what if for some reason I still somehow manage to run out of power? Well, that's where this thing comes in. In here, I have got a portable folding 20-watt solar panel, because why not? And it just has a single USB port for plugging in to charge stuff. And of course, keep it in this cloth bag that I got in order to just prevent dust and stuff from getting in there, and also cushion it against everything else that sits in this EDC bag. Got a little notebook that I use for anything that comes to me while I'm out and about, like ideas for any of the projects that I work on. So aside from YouTube, I'm in the middle of writing a novel, which I'll link in the description if you guys want to check that out. I have the work in progress listed. I really want to try doing a webcomic at some point. Also, which I'll talk about in a bit, game development ideas. And I'll go more in depth on that when I get to the last item in this bag. I've got a tablet in here. This is the Lenovo M9. My wife took a screenshot of her face and set it as the background, and I decided to leave it. Yeah, this is my secondary tablet. This is what I put on like YouTube videos or anything like that in the background, as well as a backup if something else happens to my other devices. I've got a Kobo Clara 2 e-reader in here, which is really good for having as many books as I want with me while I'm out and about, and all in the space and weight of this thing, which is actually fairly light. Like it weighs like nothing. Can't really balance it on my pinky, but you know what I mean? Like it's surprisingly light. And unlike a book, this thing actually has a lit screen so you can read in the dark. And this is something I've had for a few years now. This is my Microsoft Surface Go tablet. It's a Windows 10 based tablet with a removable keyboard, and you can just go full tablet mode, or you can have the keyboard attached and treat it like a mini laptop, essentially. This thing is not really powerful, and with a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to get back into, it just doesn't have the juice. I can't do video editing with it. I can't, obviously I can't game with it. I can't run anything else that's super intensive on graphics. And so all I really use this for is as a general purpose work tablet, and mostly I use this for writing my novel. All right. Now we're getting to the last thing that I have in here, probably the most expensive thing I have in here, and the newest addition to this bag. So this is the charging brick for it. I think you'll start to get a hint as to what it is with the ROG logo on the power brick. To set some context before I show the final item in here, as I start to get more and more into adventuring for like long distances and that sort of thing in my Model 3 and future vehicles, I really want the ability to edit videos on the go, which my tablet and none of the other things that I have can really do. I could do that on the ROG, but it's a really awkward small screen to do video editing with. And so I wanted something that not only could I do video editing with, but also really high-end modern video games, but also, and here's a very rare bit of lore that probably none of you guys watching know, I actually come from a game development background. That's what I went to school for, that's what I went to college for. I have an advanced diploma in game development. Now, mind you, I graduated 10 years ago, so what I learned doesn't really hold up to today, but it's still, I have the foundations and passion for making games, and so I wanted something I could use to make games on the go. And that's where this item comes in. And so may I introduce my new laptop, the ROG Strix G17. And this thing is a pretty beefy laptop. This thing is a 17-inch laptop. That's the largest laptop I've ever used myself. This is only the second laptop that I've ever owned. The one I used to own was a pretty weak one. It has a RTX 4070 as the GPU, a Ryzen 9 CPU. It's got 32 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte solid state drive. I've literally only had this thing for maybe a week. And so having this thing will let me actually edit videos and upload videos on the go. This is my baby. Listen to that sound. This is the one last piece that I was waiting for my EDC bag before I considered it complete. And I'm really, really in love with this thing. And you know what the sad part is? My desktop PC was built quite a few years ago at this point. I actually believe that this thing is better than my desktop PC by a large margin. And while this has an RTX 4070, my desktop has a 970. So that should tell you how far behind my desktop PC is compared to this. Now there is one more thing that I want to get for my EDC that I haven't acquired yet, and that's an external portable monitor so I can dual screen it, which is the only thing my desktop setup has that this portable setup doesn't have. Yeah, this thing is a work of beauty, man. My phone right now is pretty simple. It's a Samsung Galaxy A21. Nothing fancy. It's a pretty meh phone. All it's meant for is just, you know, your standard smartphone use. One of the things I'm planning on getting is I'm going to complete the ASUS hat trick, if you will. I've got the ASUS ROG Ally handheld gaming PC. I've got the ASUS ROG Strix laptop. And then at some point, probably not for a couple years, I'll be replacing my phone with the ASUS ROG phone. By then, it'll probably be like the 9 or the 10. And yeah, that is everything that I carry with me in my everyday carry bag. Very, very, very tech heavy. I know when some people go on adventures and camping and road trips, they want to get away from technology, but I'm kind of weird. Hopefully some of you guys are in the same train of thought where I'm the exact opposite. I want to bring the technology with me. I want to have a weird merger of technology and adventure. And I know it's a bit extra, but I really enjoy having all of this stuff at my disposal no matter where I go on a daily basis. Like I said, if you're interested in any of this stuff, links will be in the description. And yeah, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.